What's up, everybody? It's Sid and Millie back with another episode. As you know, we watched the Manchester United versus Leeds United game earlier in the preseason. So that was our video earlier that we chatted about. So now we'll get kind of more into the, I guess, tactical, more technical um, pieces of the game. Whereas earlier, of course, we were chatting through it.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that, Millie.
Yeah, of
So
course.
that's all set. We'll get our board set up.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that
Yeah.
was like if you put here. Why don't you go ahead?
No. Exactly as Sid said. We watched the United game earlier, another preseason match against Leeds United. Of course, United was, well, I guess they tied in regular time, and then United ended up winning in penalty kicks. So, yeah, it was a pretty good game. Another good fitness opportunity for the United team,
Mm-hmm.
for key players, for important players for us in the Premier League, and of course, like another opportunity to get a game against a Premier League opponent, which will give us a little taste of what we're going to be facing in a couple weeks' time.
Yes.
So it's super important to get that on board. And yeah, it was a pretty decent game. More of kind of what we expect from United in terms of their domination and their possession and those sorts of things. But there are also some areas in which we could have done maybe a little bit better at times. And yeah, then there was also a ton of really, really good things that we can be
Yes.
extremely happy about. So yeah, we're just gonna do what we do and chat about those things.
Yep. Yep. All right. I'm just gonna mirror Millie's board.
Doing my best to make sure they're turned adequately. All right, let's throw a mod over there. Then we've got our 10, and then our 6 and 8. So yeah, so here in the red, of course, as always, we have Manchester United. In goal today, starting, we of course had Lemons back in goal, and this matches up perfectly because Lemons is officially the number one.
Yep.
So great to see him back in action once again, and also glad that he got his appropriate jersey number that
Absolutely.
corresponds with his position
Yes,
on the
he is
team.
locked in, locked
Facts.
down for
Then we
United.
had Dallo starting at right back. Next to him, we had Lenny Yoro. Then we had Aiden Heaven in left center back. As we know, Maguire was rested today since he played the 90 minutes against PSG. Then we had Harry Amas start at left back. Similar case, but we know Luke Shaw had picked up a little knock. So we're glad that Luke Shaw played at all, and
Yes,
glad that it wasn't
honestly.
anything serious. But that was the reason we saw Harry Amas here. In this six, we know we've seen him all preseason. He's been a fantastic signing. We saw Santos
Yep,
in our six, in our pivot midfield, whatever you want to call it, but pretty secure for him.
definitely.
Another really solid performance. Next to him, we had T. Fletcher starting in the midfield. As the 10, we had Xerxes starting as our attacking midfielder. On the right, of course, we had Ahmad. That is his position. Ahmad started out on the right. And then on the left, we had Patrick Dorgu. And then up top for United today, we had Brian Mbembo. So that was kind
Nice.
of how United started the game. This was, of course, our typical formation, which, as we know, is a 4-2-3-1. Or if you want to, call it a different way, you can also refer to it as a 4-3-3. So we
Yes.
have, four defenders, three midfielders, three attackers. But in the way United kind of plays with it, especially with the freedom that the 10 has, you more so would call it a 4-2-3-1. So
Okay, got it.
so that's how United line up. And so, yeah, so basically, early game, there wasn't really too much going on. I mean, we saw the first 10 minutes. It
Yeah,
was a little bit back and forth, kind of whatever, until United really took over the game.
true.
But something I did want to highlight is our defensive shape, because United has been doing a really phenomenal job when we're in our defensive shape. And there were moments in the game today when we we really needed to not necessarily, we weren't in like any trouble per se, but again, it's really important to get the reps in of locking down teams, preventing any dangerous attacks, and those sort of things. So United definitely got some good reps in with that.
So that's good, at least.
Yeah. So this is kind of United's raw defensive shape. As we know, our center backs will be occupied by whatever their forward is, whether it's a 1 or a 2 up top. This person will float in between our center backs, their 9. We've got our outside backs, of course, in position with the wingers ready for whatever may happen. We've got our midfielders, everybody kind of matched up. Of course, it kind of depends on where their midfielders are going and roaming, where, we'd probably have our 8 there, 6 with the 10, those sort of things. And then, of course, we have Brian up top. But, what United does a really good job of when we don't have the ball is, regardless of where teams go, even when we're not pressing, nobody is really able to create anything with us. See, look at how clogged up the midfield is. You can't really play into here.
No.
Everybody is matched up man for man. United does such a good job of locking up the midfield because our 9 also is tucking in as well. So we have basically an overload in the midfield. We're basically baiting teams to play into the midfield. Because once you play in here, we're most likely going to win the ball. And then we have all of our key attacking players ready to burst out and attack. But yeah, so this is something that United was doing really well, tucking in our 9 and making sure everybody was man marked and then giving us that extra number in the midfield. That definitely helps force teams to play ways that they don't really want to.
Yeah.
So they can't play into the midfield when we're set up like this. So what we were seeing a lot of times is we were forcing them to go into these wide positions. But again, because of the matchups we had, there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere for them to try and play through us or get any possession or anything.
Right, because where are you going to go?
Exactly. Because the defensive shape is just so strong that United has had, and they're so organized in the way they shift across and the way that everybody is staying with their runners. So a lot of times they're forced to just go back, maintain possession, and we're just shifting around. We're just fine with that because we know we're not going to always have the ball. And that's fine. That's okay. And that is the important thing is that everybody knows their role within this. We're not getting caught out of position. And even in transitional moments, you could see how hard United players were working to get back behind the ball to find our comfortable defensive shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Cool.
Yeah. So now we'll go into United on the ball a little bit. So we'll move all these guys back. Did you have any things now that we're switching to United in possession?
Well, let's see. What do you wanna chat about? Do you wanna go over some of their goal kind of actions or
we'll go over some of our combination play that was really good, some of those sorts of things. Oh, that was a 6, my bad. Just doing our little matchups over here, you know what I'm saying? Gotta move them back.
Yes.
All right, so everybody is now in our position. So something that I saw a couple of times in the first half that I really was a fan of, and I think it worked out really well when it did happen, was when we would have the ball in say this position. So say Dorgu has the ball here, right? He's facing up with his defender. So we had a guy showing in. We have our 10 making runs in behind. That was happening all day. Santos is, in a good position. What we were seeing a lot of was Dallo sneaking into this sort of position. He was coming to the inside, allowing Ahmad to stay with the width and stay out on the line. And then Dallo was acting like another midfielder for us. We saw him in a position like this when he got his shot off.
Okay.
When it came to him in this sort of position and he shot from distance. But I think it's brilliant from Dallo to he's reading what's going on, right? He's seeing the opportunity. He knows that Ahmad is more dangerous out on the wing.
Yeah.
And so he's coming into the midfield and he's not only joining the midfield as an additional attacker in those moments, but he's also a key player that can stop a transition. So say we were to give the ball away in the midfield in this sort of position, Dallo is someone you would want in this sort
That's
of
fair.
position to help us win the ball back quickly. Because again, their first outlook pass they're going to be trying to look for is his guy anyway. So most likely, if Dallo is already in this sort of position, he could potentially already be challenging when we give the ball away. So I really liked how he was kind of exercising that fluidity. And there was another thing that we saw with what Dallo was doing today as well. So I believe it was from Euro on this side, but a similar situation where Ahmad came back and showed for Euro here and drew this outside mid, and then Dallo moved into this position in the middle, and that allowed Euro to play straight through into Dallo, and Dallo was able to turn in space. So again, great recognition from Dallo to pick up the cue from Ahmad showing back and then taking that space in the midfield and being an option for a center back, but not just any option for a center back, a forward option for a center back. And that is really so key, the forward passes that are going to jumpstart our attack and get us moving into their half. Because Dallo, when he picked up the ball in these spaces, no one was around him because no one expects Dallo to be there, which is why it was such a good movement from him. So I really liked that from him. Him and Ahmad were really highlighting the strengths in their partnership today, which was really good. All right, so now we'll talk about our guy who we know very, very well from this preseason, and that is Andres Santos.
Okay, yes.
What a midfielder. I mean, he just does a fantastic job. I mean, he wins so many balls in this position and just protects our back four.
Yeah.
He makes it so, I don't want to say easy for the back four, but they always know they have an additional line of support with Santos in that position. And yeah, Santos continued what we've seen from him throughout preseason once again, finding the passes into Membo's feet, which then prompted Membo and Xerxes to be doing all sorts of combinations in different parts of the pitch. And it started a lot of times with these forward passes that we're trying to pass. So we saw them come from Heaven as well, where Heaven's playing into someone like Brian. Brian's playing off of Xerxes. Xerxes switching our point of attack. It's brilliant. That's exactly what we want to see in a good build-up. Straight from the back, but we're starting from the back, but there is intention to move the ball forward. And not just move the ball forward and force anything, but we're moving the ball forward where it makes sense. We're finding the spaces on the field to isolate our attacking players 1v1 in dangerous positions. And that's what we want to do. You want Ahmad running at this outside back as much as possible. And same with Dorgu, same with Rashford when he's in, same with Cunha when Cunha has the ball at his feet. We want our guys running at people with space, with the ball at their feet. And the best way to do that is through these combinations that we're seeing, because we were lighting it up in the midfield all game today.
Yeah, truly.
Another thing we saw more of today was, again, as the field is maybe a little bit more tucked in on the ball on this side of the field, we saw more of Aiden Heaven hitting these lovely driven balls across field.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Putting Ahmad, isolating Ahmad with his defender. And again, a massive switch of field, but it is immediately putting us into the attack. And it's just so brilliant. The vision, the confidence from Eden Heaven to be pinging those balls forward. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that so many times.
Yeah.
Ping it all the way across the field.
Yeah.
In Ahmad. I mean, there was one where he had to chest it.
and,
get the ball down because otherwise it was going out. But it was a crazy ball all the way across the field.
Yeah, it's such a good transitional thing to hit, especially when a team isn't putting serious pressure on our outside backs. They're thinking that we can't really hurt them from this position, and then one pass later you're isolated with one of our best attacking players. And that is why it's such a important range of pass to have in our center backs locker. But another one we saw as well, which I think is immensely important to point out, which again, it just comes down to Brian and Xerxes and their understanding of each other. But in moments in the game as well today, when we were, things were a little bit stepped up into these moments, right? So let's keep Ahmad out wide. Let's say he's marked up with his man. I've erased my United now. I'm moving all the lads around.
No, that's okay. We get it.
But what we were seeing a good bit of is Brian was showing underneath, right? Showing underneath into the middle. And then Xerxes was making that run in behind. And there were a couple times when we were able to hit this ball direct over the top and find that ball, that person making the run in behind. But this movement is just, yeah, bro, thank you. This movement from Brian, it's so smart, right? He's drawing this center back out of line with his partner, right? Because this center back knows he doesn't want Brian to get the ball and turn here. So he's drawing this center back, and then Xerxes is exploiting the space in behind while maintaining the line with the other center back and able to receive the ball in a dangerous position. It's so great. It's exactly what we want to see again. I'm always harping about the interchanging of our attacking players. There are moments today when Dorgu had worked his way all the way over to the right side. And that's what we want to see again. It makes it difficult for these defensive players to track our guys and follow them around the pitch when they're moving around this much. Why am I confused? Oh, that's their 6. Little. So that was working out well for us. Another thing that we kind of talked about was like the pivot, right?
Let's talk about the pivot a bit.
So typically what we would see, I mean, if you were referring to like old school footy back in the day, the most traditional lineup you would see was a 4-4-2, which is just a partnership of 2 midfielders flat in the midfield. And then they'd have their wingers on either side of them. And these 2 midfielders would do all of the midfield work. So they were referred to as a pivot. So they were doing all of the action. So if they got called out, they would go make a defensive action here. They would also join the attack, and then the other one would know that it's time to tuck in. Or if this one is dropped deep to pick up the ball off the center backs, this one's getting out of his way, right? But they are a partnership working together and sharing the responsibilities of the midfield. So they both have defensive responsibilities, and they both, not together, but individually, are allowed to join the attack when we're moving forward. But there has to always be balance. So that's why they're pivoting. If one goes, one holds. If one holds, the other one goes. If we're in possession, the deeper one is the 6. This one is now the 8, the box-to-box midfielder. So that's kind of the way the pivot functions. So we saw a lot of times today, there were moments where Adri Santos was joining in the attack and was having the ball in higher positions like that, and Fletcher was our deepest midfielder. And then more traditionally, as we've been seeing throughout preseason, there are moments where Santos had the ball in the 6 and Fletcher was in these kind of higher positions away from where Santos was. Because again, you want your guy on the ball to have space. It's one thing when you're supporting someone in like a small triangle like this. Of course, if someone is pressing our 6, you want to make sure he has an option back and an option forward, so we can potentially play in all of these triangles. Triangles are really the key to success. So you always want to support your teammate in that way. But in terms of the midfield, you don't want it to be too clogged up either. You want to try and pull these other midfielders away from your ball carrier. So yeah, little bit of the how the midfield functions. And then of course, we saw some halftime substitutions for United, and then later on in the match we saw our full kind of like squad come in. So at halftime we saw Collier come on in the midfield. We saw this one is actually the other color. We saw Collier come on. We saw Harry Maguire's reincarnate come on, Armour.
Thompson.
And then Thompson come on, right. Thompson, another young talent, getting an opportunity today, making his Man United debut. Carrick just gets it. He just gets it. He understands the core values of the club, youth, courage, success, and he leans into it. We saw that with Tyler Fletcher getting the start today, and we saw that with Thompson, Armour, and with Collier coming off the bench at halftime. Or actually, Collier came on as a 6 for Santos, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so... just again, got to lean into the youth. Definitely. We know that a lot of these players could potentially find themselves breaking through. Maybe not all of them, but a few of them have definitely put a good hat in the name in the hat. Yeah, hat in the ring. There it is. I think so. And then of course, once Bruno came on, once Tielemans came on, They kind of helped work United out of that lull in the second half that they were in. Collier did a fantastic job, and as a 6, he did a great job when he came on.
Yeah.
I guess before we get into late stage game, we could talk about the goal United scored. Completely
Yeah,
forgot about that.
absolutely.
So we were pretty defensive. It was kind of a jumble of things going on. They had the ball out wide here. They had lads supporting naturally, of course. Their midfield's there. Say Santos is this guy. Say Fletcher's there. Yeah, I'm sure Ahmad was dropped back occupying. We know that Zerk was pretty high, and we know Brian was on this side, and we know Patrick was supporting Amos over here. All right, so this was kind of, I mean, it's not perfect, right? I don't have a exact photographic memory of what was going on, but essentially Leeds had an opportunity. They were wide. They crossed the ball from this wide position. Harry Amos clears it to Patrick Dorgu, who brings it down. Dorgu, with a defender on either side of him, takes a touch in this direction and plays the ball down line. Brian Mbembo, with an unbelievable touch, touches past this defender who went sliding past him, completely out of the play now. Of course, Zerk was moving forward. Brian did a phenomenal job of taking his space. Center back tried to close him. Brian weighted his pass perfectly, megs the center back straight into the path of Zerk, passes it home.
Yeah.
It was just brilliant. Back to front, turning defense into attack immediately, starting from a clearance in our own 18 and flipping it and scoring down at the other end.
I mean, it was beautiful.
That was
a fantastic goal. That was entertaining to watch.
Started with Amos with the great clearance. Dorgu, the composure, the pace to break out of the back and carry the ball forward. And then Brian Mbembo, just his everything he did, his run, his touch pass to the defender, the weighted pass through the defender's legs, perfect. And Xerxes, of course, right place, followed the play brilliantly, and was a perfect finish. So, it was just really, really great football from United to get us the goal.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, we can chat about how we gave up our goal, because obviously that did indeed happen.
Yeah.
A bit unfortunate for us, but essentially we got in the position where we were, it was kind of like this. I believe the ball was coming from, I don't know if it was from one of our center backs. I can't remember who exactly played it, but the ball was coming from a wide position, and it was played in here to, I believe their outside mid was tucked in. It was played in here to Fletcher in this area. It was kind of one of those, what do you do, right? Like as a midfielder in this position, obviously Santos is kind of in a line with him or was a little higher than him. So it's a kind of very important position, because exactly what happened in the game, if you lose the ball here, they're literally in on goal. So it's one of those sorts of positions where it probably needed a touch and a pass back to this center back, where it probably needed a one-touch hook pass out to our outside back, or because the ball was bouncing, have one of those have it moments and just fucking blast it, right? Like just freaking put your foot through it and hook it up to one of the corners from that position, depending on which way your body is facing. If you're facing the way the ball is coming to you, hook it that way down the pitch. If your body was on the half turn, fucking flick it on and just let it go out for a throw. So there were a few options of things that maybe could have gotten out, but regardless of that, Fletch tried to let the ball run across his body. Dan James stepped in the midfield, one pass, shot, goal. It was very quick. It was very quick. I want to say there might have been pressure. The ball was bouncing a little bit. So it was one of those kind of weird scenarios. But again, these are very extremely key places on the field. As a midfielder, and especially if you are the deeper midfielder with the ball at your feet, you quite simply can't lose this ball.
No.
You can't lose it. And if you do lose it, whoever you lost it to has to get brought down.
Yeah.
Period. You take your yellow card. You have to. So again, one of those tough situations. Dan James, we know, is quick. He took a touch pass, so it wasn't like he could
Yeah.
be fouled. But again, those are just those moments in the game where if something like that happens and you lose the ball in a key situation, you really just got to come through and you got to wipe them out. Get a yellow card, take the smart foul, take one for the team, but don't let us get scored on.
Facts.
At the end of the
Yeah,
day.
no, that's for sure.
Um,
Definitely an unfortunate situation for United today.
yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was. But we chatted about it earlier. Fletch is so young. He's a
Facts.
young midfielder, young talent coming through the youth academy. Mistakes like that are going to happen. We're
Facts.
glad it happened in preseason and not when he gets minutes in the Prem or when he gets minutes in the FA or in the
Right.
League Cup. So I think he got it out
Yeah,
of his system. I think he's going to learn the lesson that is needed. So I think we'll be all
definitely.
right there. And then and this going into the second half, we saw a lot of brilliant combination play with Bruno always involved. He had his shot that hit the crossbar, did a little combination. I believe it was with. I'm trying to think. I can't really remember all the subs. It might have been with Cunha coming off. It was great to see Cunha back up in the mix once again,
Mm-hmm.
back from his
Yeah.
vacation. I hope he's ready to get surfing.
Facts.
But yeah, it was good to see him playing. I don't think, quite had the biggest impact. But again, it's his first minutes back from vacation, so that is going to come with minutes, with
Defo.
more time, and we know what Cunha offers and what he can do. And
Absolutely.
even in his limited appearance today, he was still able to make things happen. And be in danger man for United. So again,
Yes.
a lot of potential from Mr. Number 10 Cunha this year. So I think again, I think overall it was a good performance. Defensively, United was very solid. They didn't give up a ton of opportunities. There were a couple instances in the early second half where we allowed the outside mid here or the outside back to hit this ball, kind of behind Harry Amas, which got us into some trouble. That forced the save from Lemons, where he used his feet and made the
Mm,
clearance. But that was just a simple case of, we've got to get some pressure on that ball. And if we can't get pressure on the ball, we've got to just drop and make sure we're aware of where our runners are. So it's one of those. If we know our midfielder outside mid is not in a position to put pressure on here, that's fine. But we have to drop here as an outside back. Make sure you're in line with your center backs. Be aware of where this guy is. But I think we got a little bit caught being a little
yeah.
bit guilty. I think maybe the midfielder was lingering here, so we might have thought that there was potential to win the ball there, type like getting sucked in, ball watching a little bit.
Mm,
And again, that's the ball that they were able to hit that played
got
in
it.
behind us. So that was a little bit of a danger,
Dangerous.
but
Yep.
again, it all comes down to, can we get pressure on this guy? And if we can't get pressure on him, can we be aware of that and drop the line? But again, we didn't have Harry Maguire or Martinez, back there barking their orders, which I feel
Right.
like might have solved for that.
Defo.
So yeah, I think overall a really good performance from United. Defensively, very sound. Going forward, there were plenty of opportunities to score, plenty of attacking chances, hit the crossbar.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno scored a first time finish from like this position with a defender on his back with his
I
weak foot.
know. And then he was
Yeah,
offside.
offsides by a hair. But again, it just highlights more of what United is looking for in these sorts of games. Like, we're playing teams. We're having these moments where Bruno is floating, seeming like he's not involved in the play. And then out of nowhere, Cunha is showing for the ball. And then a slip pass is being played into our captain, who's running in behind, who's taking a shot on. And,
Mm-hmm.
he got called offsides on this one. But the movement that allows that space for Bruno to get in behind is brilliant.
Yeah.
And then the recognition from this guy who was on the ball to not fall for this pass, but to look beyond it and look for the next one. So again, just highlighting these attacking patterns that Carrick is working on and that he's putting together. And the
Yeah.
lads are able to find each other on the pitch. They're showing a lot of cohesion in the way they're moving the ball, in the way they're combining in these tight spaces. I mean, there was so much of this today where we're just moving, playing quickly,
Yeah.
quickly, quickly.
So true.
And it's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. So I get Carrick ball. I see the vision, and I'm very excited for the season to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I definitely feel like it's pretty telling as well because we see so many different players on the field, but they all still play so cohesively with each other.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is largely due to the manager, right?
Mm.
He's making sure that everybody on the squad knows their role
Yeah.
within the group, within the team. That way our quality doesn't drop off when a substitute comes on.
Facts.
We maintain the exact same quality, just with a different perspective on it, right? So that is kind of the goal always as a coach, as a manager, to make sure the quality doesn't dip off when you make substitutions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Carrick is doing a great job of making sure everybody understands the vision.
Yes, facts.
And I see it, Carrick. We see it.
Now we're ready to see it in
In the
further
Prem,
action.
yeah, in the games that count,
Yeah.
that's for sure. But yeah, so this was a tactical breakdown of Manchester United's 1-1 draw with Leeds today. Man United, as we know, won in penalty kicks, so they were crowned the Doyle Cup champions. I guess it's in Ireland, preseason, whatever. But yeah, but doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, a good performance from United, good minutes for the lads, and getting us ever closer for, the Premier League season, which is right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Yeah. So if you made it this far,
thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Peace.